Welcome to this deep dive.
Yeah.
I know you're curious about millionaires, right? Like what they do and how they think.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're going through the updated Millionaire Next Door to find out like what's really going on with wealth in America.
Interesting.
You probably picture like mansions and fancy cars,
Right, exactly.
but it's way more interesting than that.
It really is.
So this book, it just jumps right in and like busts the myth of the like really flashy millionaire.
Yeah, okay.
And they have this anecdote that really sets the tone.
Oh, cool.
They talk about having this group of decamillionaires over.
Oh.
And they like made this super fancy spread. Like they had pate and caviar and all these vintage wines.
Oh, wow.
You know, like the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And guess what?
Right.
These decamillionaires, they actually preferred Budweiser and crackers.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
Yeah, it's like this funny but like really powerful illustration of the main point of the book.
What's that?
Real millionaires. They prioritize financial independence
Yeah, okay.
over like showing off their wealth.
Right. Makes sense.
It's like they've figured out this secret code.
Okay.
Live below your means and you're like free to do what you actually care about.
I like that.
The book talks about this couple, MCT and her husband.
Okay.
They live in this modest house, drive Ford's shop at Dillard's.
So normal.
Totally normal.
Yeah.
And they're financially independent and happy.
That's the dream.
Right. It's like the ultimate goal.
For sure.
And the book talks about these two groups.
Oh, yeah.
Prodigious accumulators of wealth or pause.
Got it.
And then under accumulators of wealth,
Right.
which is UAWs.
Okay, so pause versus UAWs?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
pause build wealth that's way more than what they earn.
Wow.
While UAWs, even though they might make a lot of money,
Yeah.
they often struggle because of how they spend.
Okay, so it's not just about how much you make.
Right. It's
Yeah.
more about how you manage it.
That's interesting. What else stood out to you about these two groups?
It's all about mindset.
Mm-hmm.
The book says that pause, they see frugality as this like strategic tool,
Huh.
not like this sacrifice. They know that financial independence is like a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, you can't just like rush it.
Exactly. And UAWs,
Mm.
they kind of get caught in this trap of spending to look successful.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
The book uses these really good examples to show this.
Oh, like what?
So there's this guy, Mr. Richards. He's a mobile home dealer.
Okay.
And he's like 5 times wealthier than this lawyer who makes about the same amount of money.
Wow, that's a big difference.
Right. That's a paw in action.
Totally.
And then you have Dr. Ashton.
Okay.
He's a doctor, earning over $500,000 a year.
Yeah, so he's doing well.
But his net worth is surprisingly low
Why is that?
because of his spending.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
I know. As you hear these stories, it makes you think,
About what?
am I making choices like a paw or am I slipping into UAW territory?
Yeah, good question.
The book really breaks down this whole spend to look successful thing.
It does.
It shows that being frugal isn't just about being cheap.
Mhm.
It's like a strategic foundation for building wealth.
Right, it's like a long-term plan.
And it's not just like an opinion. They use research to back this up,
Oh, that's good.
like busting the myth that you have to spend a ton to be successful.
I see.
There's this example of this millionaire who never spent more than $399 on a suit.
Wow.
And get this, there's this millionaire wife who kept clipping coupons even after her husband gave her $8 million in stock.
Seriously?
I know,
That's commitment.
right? It makes you think about like how we view spending and saving.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, where's the line between saving smart and enjoying life?
Right, that's the balance.
It's definitely a balancing act.
For sure.
So then the book goes in this really interesting direction.
Okay.
It talks about the ancestry of American millionaires.
Oh, wow.
Did you find that interesting?
Yeah, I'm curious.
So they found that Scottish ancestry is like the top-ranking group.
Really?
And they think it's because of their values of thrift, discipline,
Yeah.
and thinking about their finances long-term.
Interesting.
It makes you wonder how like cultural things passed down through families
Uh-huh.
can affect how people handle their money and build wealth.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a cool little fact you could tell people.
Yeah, like at a party or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it also shows how powerful shared values and financial wisdom can be when they're passed down through generations.
That's a good point.
Now, speaking of families, the book goes into this kind of sensitive but really important topic,
What's that?
the financial help that parents give their adult children.
Oh, yeah.
They call it economic outpatient care,
Mhm.
or EO.
EOC.
Got it. And it's usually done with good intentions.
Of course.
But the book says that it can actually prevent kids from becoming financially independent.
Really?
Yeah, like parents might be trying to help,
Yeah.
But sometimes it creates this reliance that stops their kids from reaching their full potential.
That's interesting.
It's almost like a paradox.
Oh, so.
Like wanting to help can actually hold someone back.
I see what you mean.
And the book has these real-life stories to show this.
Like,
There's Mary and Lamar, this couple who depend on gifts from Mary's mom to keep up their lifestyle.
oh, wow.
And then there's Ms. BPF. Her parents' financial safety net is preventing her from really developing her own business.
That's a tough situation.
It's like a warning for both parents and their adult kids.
Yeah, I get it.
How might EOC affect your choices about money
Right.
and your sense of being independent?
Good questions to think about.
It goes beyond just money. You know,
Yeah.
it's about that balance between family support and personal growth.
Absolutely.
And it connects back to this idea of courage that the book talks about.
Oh.
They tell the story of Laura, who built this successful real estate business
Wow.
after her husband left her with nothing.
Oh, no.
It's a really inspiring example of someone taking control of their financial future,
Yeah, good for her.
even after this huge setback.
It's amazing how she turned things around.
Right. It shows that you can achieve financial independence, but it takes courage to make tough choices and take calculated risks.
You can't be afraid to take a chance.
Exactly. It's about forging your own path, even when it feels scary.
I like that.
And that's really the spirit of the whole book.
Makes sense.
Now let's get into how these millionaires invest.
Okay, I'm ready.
It's probably not what you think.
Oh, really? I'm all ears. So you might think millionaires are like always watching the stock market, buying and selling all the time.
Yeah, that's what I would thought.
But the book says it's totally different.
Oh, really?
Most millionaires are actually in it for the long haul.
So they're not like day trading and stuff?
Nope. They're not chasing those quick wins. They're all about slow and steady growth,
Makes sense.
holding on to their stocks for years, not just days.
That's interesting. And what about like picking their investments?
A lot of them actually do it themselves.
Really?
Yeah, they do their research and think carefully about their options.
So they're not just following some hot stock tip.
No, they're not blindly trusting those financial gurus.
Wow.
The book talks about this guy, Mr. Martin. Before he hires a financial advisor, he asks for their tax returns and their whole portfolio history.
Whoa. That's intense.
Right, but it shows how careful he is.
Yeah, he's not messing around.
He's doing his due diligence.
It's a good lesson for all of us.
Definitely. Even if we're not financial experts, we can still be in control of our investments.
Exactly. It's about being informed, asking the tough questions, and making choices that match our long-term goals.
I like that.
It's empowering to know that you don't have to be like a Wall Street wizard to do well with your money.
You got it.
So the book also talks about different paths to wealth,
Oh, yeah. Like what?
like being an entrepreneur versus having a professional career.
Right. Those are two big ones.
What did you learn from that part?
Well, both can definitely lead to wealth,
Okay.
but there's a key difference.
What's that?
A lot of millionaires are actually self-employed professionals,
Oh, interesting.
like doctors, lawyers, accountants.
Yeah, those make sense.
They can earn a lot of money, but their work is usually less risky compared to running a business.
Right. It's more stable.
Exactly.
It's funny because we always hear about how amazing being an entrepreneur is.
Yeah, for sure.
But this book reminds us that professional careers can be a great way to build wealth, too.
They definitely can.
And there's less chance of things going wrong.
Less volatility.
Yeah. And the book even says that some successful business owners encourage their kids to go for stable professional careers.
Wow, really?
It's like they know how tough and unpredictable being an entrepreneur can be.
Even though they made it work.
Exactly.
So it's not about saying one path is better than the other.
Right.
It's about finding what's right for you.
Yeah. Like how much risk you're comfortable with your skills and your financial goals.
It's all about finding that good fit.
Before we move on, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
The spend to look successful trap.
Right, right.
The book actually talks about credit cards. And that
Oh, interesting.
you might think that millionaires use those fancy credit cards with huge fees.
Yeah, to show off their status.
Exactly. But the book says it's not true.
Really?
They're more likely to use regular cards like MasterCard or Visa, or even store cards like Sears and JCPenney.
Wow, that's surprising.
It all comes back to being frugal and not wasting money on unnecessary fees.
It's about being smart with your money.
Millionaires don't care about those fancy perks if it doesn't help them financially.
I see things differently.
They use credit cards as a tool, not as a way to brag about their money.
That makes sense.
It's a subtle but important difference.
For sure.
The book also talks about goal setting,
Okay.
not just for money, but for everything.
So having a plan for your life,
Exactly. They say it's important to have a clear vision.
like a roadmap.
Yeah, like where you want to go. They talk about this woman, Mrs. Rule. She's a successful auctioneer,
Okay.
and she plans her budget super carefully, like down to the last dollar.
Wow, that's detailed.
Might not sound exciting, but it obviously works for her.
It does. It shows that being intentional and having a clear vision pays off.
Totally. It's about making choices that help you reach your goals
Mm-hmm.
and not getting distracted by impulse buys or other things.
Right. Stay focused.
And they talk about this couple, Robert and Judy.
Okay.
They make a lot of money, but they're always struggling financially
Why is that?
because they don't plan or have any discipline.
No, they're just stuck in that cycle of earning and spending.
Exactly. They never get ahead.
It's a good reminder that income doesn't equal wealth.
It's what you do with that income that matters.
You got it.
It's about making smart choices, setting priorities,
Yeah,
and having a plan.
I like that.
Now, this is where the book gets really interesting.
Oh, tell me more.
They start talking about the psychology of wealth,
Oh, wow.
like how our past experiences, especially from childhood,
Uh-huh.
can affect how we handle money as adults.
Okay, that makes sense.
They tell the story of Mr. Friend. He's this amazing salesperson,
Okay.
but he grew up poor.
Oh.
Even though he's super successful now,
Yeah.
he still feels this need to make up for his past.
Interesting. It's like his past is still affecting him.
It shows that even when we achieve great things,
Uh-huh.
our past can still influence us.
Powerful stuff.
It's fascinating how our beliefs about money can stick with us,
Yeah.
even when our financial situation changes completely.
It's like those beliefs are deeply ingrained.
The book says that Mr. Friend's parents,
Okay.
they also didn't have much money,
Yeah.
and they taught him that you should spend what you earn.
Oh, like if you make a lot, you should spend a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that affected his spending habits
I see.
and made him hesitant to invest at first.
It's amazing how those early lessons about money, yeah, both good and
It
bad,
can really shape us.
they stick with us.
It makes you think about what we're learning about money
Uh-huh.
and how it might be influencing our choices today.
Good point.
Yeah.
We should be more aware of those ingrained beliefs.
And challenge them if they're not helping us anymore.
Exactly. Now, the book also talks about how millionaires pay less in taxes.
Oh, that's a topic that can be kind of boring.
Yeah, for sure.
But they explain it in a way that's actually easy to understand
Really?
and kind of interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So they talk about the difference between realized income and unrealized income.
Okay, I'm listening.
Realized income is the money you get and pay taxes on right away.
Okay, that makes sense.
But unrealized income is when your assets go up in value,
Right.
and you don't pay taxes on that until you sell them.
Oh, I see.
So millionaires try to keep their realized income low
Hmm.
and their unrealized income high.
So it's like a strategy.
Exactly. They invest strategically
Yeah.
and manage their assets in a way that lets their investments grow without being taxed right away.
So they're playing the long game.
Exactly. And they benefit later on.
That's smart.
And this is where things like retirement accounts come in.
Oh, yeah, those are tax advantage.
You can grow your investments without paying taxes on them until later, which can really help your wealth grow faster over time.
It's like a snowball effect.
They compare this woman, Sharon.
Okay.
She makes a lot of money, but struggles to build wealth because she pays so much in taxes.
Ouch.
And then there's Barbara. She owns a business, and her wealth keeps growing even though she doesn't have as much realized income.
Because she's investing strategically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It shows how understanding taxes
Yeah.
can make a huge difference in how well you do financially.
Being tax savvy is important.
It's not about avoiding taxes altogether.
Right.
It's about knowing the rules and using them to your advantage.
Totally.
So along with being smart about taxes,
Yeah.
millionaires are also really good at protecting their wealth.
Makes sense.
The book talks about estate planning
Oh.
and how they pass on their wealth to their heirs.
Interesting.
It's pretty fascinating how they avoid estate taxes
Uh-huh.
and make sure their assets are given out the way they want.
So like writing a will and stuff?
Yeah.
Hmm.
They use things like gifting trusts and charitable giving, and they often work with experts to create a solid plan.
It's like they're covering all their bases.
It's a good reminder that estate planning isn't just for super rich people.
Yeah.
It's about protecting what you've worked for
Uh-huh.
and making sure things go smoothly when you pass it on to the next generation.
Right. No matter how much money you have.
But what happens when the next generation isn't ready to handle that inheritance?
Oh, that's a good question.
The book talks about that too.
Oh, really?
The challenges of being a child of wealthy parents.
Yeah, I can see how that could be tough.
They bring up economic outpatient care again,
Right.
and how giving kids too much financial support can make them feel entitled
Uh-huh.
and prevent them from becoming independent.
It's like a double-edged sword.
They also say it's important to teach kids good financial values
Yeah.
so they can manage their money responsibly,
Right.
even if they're going to inherit a lot.
So it's about preparing them.
It's about finding that balance
Yeah.
between providing for your kids' future and giving them the tools to be financially independent.
It's a tough balance for sure.
Now, there's this question that always comes up.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
How much of a role does luck play in all of this?
Right? Is it all hard work, or is there some luck involved?
The book actually talks about that.
Oh, good.
That whole luck versus hard work debate.
It's a classic debate.
They say that luck definitely plays a part,
Okay.
but most millionaires get where they are through hard work, discipline, and making smart choices.
They put in the effort,
They work hard, and they're not afraid to take risks.
calculated risks,
Exactly. And they really know their stuff,
like whatever field they're in.
whether it's business investing or a professional career.
They're experts,
They're always learning and trying to get better.
constantly improving.
The book also talks about the importance of choosing the right career.
Right.
It's not just about finding the highest paying job.
Yeah.
It's about matching your passion with your financial goals.
So you enjoy what you do and make good money.
Exactly. And recognizing that some fields, like entrepreneurship and professional services, tend to have higher earning potential.
Makes sense.
And speaking of entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
the book actually lists the most profitable businesses in America.
Oh, really? I'm curious.
It's pretty diverse.
Like what kind of businesses?
Everything from medical practices and oil and gas operations
Yeah.
to more unexpected things like storage rentals and convenience stores.
Huh. That's interesting.
It shows that you can create wealth in all sorts of industries.
Yeah, not just the flashy one.
From highly specialized fields to everyday businesses.
That's a good point.
The top 10 list includes medical practice,
Okay.
oil and gas well operations,
Mm-hmm.
real estate legal services,
Wow, that's a wide range.
storage rentals, death care services,
Mm-hmm.
long-distance trucking convenience stores,
Right.
non-alcoholic beverage manufacturing, and insurance.
So many different options.
What do you think people can learn from this list?
Well, first of all, it shows that you don't have to start a tech company or work on Wall Street to get rich. Yeah.
It's about offering something that people really need, no matter what industry it's in.
That's a good point.
And second,
It shows how important that entrepreneurial spirit is.
yeah,
It's about seeing opportunities,
Yeah.
taking risks, and loving what you do.
those principles apply even if you're not running your own business.
Right.
It's about bringing that same energy and focus on customers to whatever career you choose.
That's a good mindset to have.
The book also talks about family businesses
Oh, yeah, those can be tricky.
and how they're passed down through generations.
Right. It's like a whole other level of complexity.
They talk about things like planning for who takes over
Uh-huh.
and balancing family and business.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's interesting because they actually advise against pushing your kids to take over the family business,
Really?
unless they're really passionate about it.
That makes sense.
They often recommend that kids pursue professional careers instead.
Interesting.
They recognize that being an entrepreneur isn't for everyone,
Sure.
and it's about protecting the business.
Yeah.
Making sure it's in good hands,
Mm-hmm.
even if those hands belong to someone outside the family.
That's a smart approach.
They're thinking about the long-term health of the business.
And respecting everyone's individual aspirations.
Throughout the whole book, there's this theme that really stood out to me.
What's that?
The importance of courage when it
What-
comes to building wealth.
It makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah. Starting a business, investing, making financial decisions,
Mm-hmm.
it all takes guts.
You have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone.
The book talks about Ray Kroc.
Oh, the McDonald's guy?
Yeah. When he was choosing franchise owners,
Yeah.
he looked for people who were courageous.
Oh, wow.
He knew that you need a certain kind of person to succeed in business
Someone who isn't afraid of a challenge.
and someone who's willing to take risks.
And speaking of overcoming challenges,
Yeah.
they bring up Laura's story again,
The one who built a real estate business after that setback.
right? She's amazing.
It shows that we all have the power to get through tough times,
And still achieve financial success.
even when things seem impossible,
It's about being resilient.
and not letting setbacks define you.
I like that.
Now let's talk about how all this applies to relationships,
Oh, interesting.
specifically marriage.
Right, because money can be a big issue in relationships.
The book talks about how financial choices and spending habits can make or break a marriage.
Yeah, That makes sense.
They say it's super important for couples to be financially compatible
Uh,
and to talk openly about money.
Communication is key.
They talk about tightwads and spendthrifts in marriage.
Oh, that's funny.
Like one person might be a saver and the other a spender.
Yeah, opposites attract.
It's important to find a balance
Right.
and create a shared vision for your finances that works for both of you.
So you're on the same page.
Exactly.
Hmm.
It's about understanding each other's perspectives
Mm-hmm.
and working together as a team.
Like a financial partnership.
The book also talks about divorce
Oh, yeah?
and how the financial consequences can be really different.
Yeah, depending on the situation.
It depends on things like prenups and state laws.
It can get complicated.
It's a reminder to be prepared for anything.
Especially when it comes to money and love.
Now, one of the most interesting parts of the book
Yeah, what is it?
is how it looks at different types of housewives
Oh, wow.
and their roles in wealthy families.
I'm curious.
It's something we don't talk about much.
But it's important.
To understand how wealth and family dynamics work.
Definitely.
They talk about type A and type B housewives.
Okay, what's the difference?
Type A housewives are usually highly educated,
Okay.
active in their communities,
Uh-huh.
and often take charge of the family finances.
Oh, wow. So they're very involved.
And they often take care of elderly parents, too.
They sound like super women.
They often marry high-earning husbands
Yeah,
and are seen as valuable partners in both the family and the family business.
that makes sense.
Their contributions are recognized and rewarded.
With gifts and inheritance and stuff.
Exactly.
What about type B housewives?
They tend to have less education,
Okay.
be less involved in their communities,
Uh-huh.
and be more financially dependent on their husbands or parents.
Oh, so it's a different dynamic.
They often marry men with lower incomes
Yeah.
and are seen as needing more support from their families.
Both financially and emotionally.
The book uses the example of two sisters, Anne and Beth,
Okay.
to show these different roles.
So Anne is type A.
Yeah. She chose to stay home with her kids,
Okay.
but she's really good with money,
Mm-hmm.
manages the family's investments,
Wow.
and doesn't rely on her parents for financial help.
She's got it all together.
Beth, on the other hand, is type B.
Okay.
She depends on her parents for money,
Uh-huh.
struggles to manage her own finances,
Yeah.
and is always getting financial help from her family.
Oh, wow. So different situations.
It shows how important it is for women to be financially independent
I agree.
and have a say in their own financial future.
No matter what path they choose.
So we talked about preparing kids for financial responsibility,
Right.
but the book also goes into inheritance
Okay.
and how it can affect families.
Yeah, that can be a sensitive subject.
They talk about how siblings can fight and resent each other
Yeah.
when inheritance isn't split evenly.
Especially if it seems like one child is favored.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They tell the story of Sarah and Alice.
Okay.
Their dad favored Alice,
Uh-huh.
who wasn't as responsible with money.
Oh, wow.
He gave her more gifts and a bigger inheritance.
That's not fair.
And it caused a lot of tension in the family.
It's a good reminder to be fair and open when it comes to family finances,
Yeah, communication is key. And treating your kids equally.
both emotionally and financially.
It's crucial for keeping those family relationships healthy.
Definitely.
It's a balancing act, but it's worth it.
For sure.
So even though inheriting wealth can be tricky,
Yeah.
the book also gives advice to wealthy parents
Oh, about what?
on how to raise financially responsible kids.
Okay, that's important.
It's about teaching them good values
Hmm.
and giving them the tools to handle money well.
So they can make their own good choices.
They say it's important to teach kids the value of money and encourage them to follow their passions.
Even if it doesn't make them rich.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to work hard.
Those are good values.
And maybe most importantly,
yeah.
they say, don't give your kids too many gifts or too much financial help.
Oh, right.
It's about helping them become independent
Uh-huh.
and understand that real satisfaction comes from earning your own success,
It's about giving them the tools to build their own life.
not just handing them everything.
Makes sense.
Now, towards the end, the book looks at the bigger picture.
Oh, okay.
They predict that the number of millionaires in America is going to grow a lot in the next few years.
Wow.
It's interesting to think about how the whole landscape of wealth is changing.
Definitely.
They say this growth will come from things like economic growth,
Mhm.
technological advances,
Yeah.
and wealth being passed down through families.
It's like a perfect storm.
Yeah. They also talk about what this means for different industries,
Oh, like what?
like financial services, real estate, luxury goods.
So it's going to have a ripple effect.
It's a glimpse into the future of wealth
Yeah.
and the opportunities and challenges that come with it.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
This book gives us a lot to think about
It really does.
to help us navigate this world of millionaires.
Oh, I'm ready to keep learning.
So many changes on the horizon, right?
Oh.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But as we wrap up this deep dive into the Millionaire Next Door,
Yeah.
I want to highlight what I think is the most valuable part of the whole book.
Okay. What's that?
The 7 things that all millionaires have in common.
Oh, yeah, those common denominators.
It's like the core principles,
Mm-hmm.
the habits and the mindsets that consistently make people wealthy.
Regardless of where they come from or how much they make.
It's not about getting lucky or having special circumstances.
Right.
It's about making deliberate choices and building a strong foundation.
It's all about that foundation.
So let's break down these 7 factors.
Okay, let's do it.
The first one is no surprise, considering what we've already talked about.
Yeah, I think I can guess.
They live well below their means.
It's the golden rule.
This idea runs through the whole book.
It does.
It's about embracing frugality,
Not as deprivation.
but as a strategic tool for financial freedom.
You got it.
It's about making sure your spending aligns with your values
Yeah.
and putting long-term financial security ahead of instant gratification.
So important.
What about the second factor? What really stuck with you?
Millionaires are incredibly efficient.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more.
They're very intentional with their time, their energy, and their money.
Yeah.
They make sure those things are being used to build wealth.
So they're not wasting resources,
Nope. They focus on things that give them a return on their investment.
whether it's in their business, their career, or their personal life.
They're always thinking about the payoff.
It's about being aware of where your resources are going and making sure they're working towards your goals.
I like that.
Now, the third factor, I think this is a major mindset shift.
Okay, I'm listening.
Millionaires prioritize financial independence over looking rich.
It's not about the status symbols.
They're not trying to impress people with fancy cars or designer clothes.
Right. It's deeper than that.
They get that real wealth isn't about appearances.
Uh-huh.
It's about having the freedom to make choices that reflect what you believe in.
So you're not a slave to your possessions.
Exactly. It's about defining success for yourself
Yeah,
and not getting caught up in trying to keep up with everyone else.
I like that.
The fourth factor goes back to something we talked about earlier,
Oh, yeah, what's that?
family dynamics and how they shape our relationship with money.
Right.
The book says that millionaires often come from families
Yeah.
where parents didn't give their kids too much financial help.
Oh, so they had to learn to be independent.
Exactly. It's about encouraging independence
Wow.
and letting kids develop their own skills and resourcefulness when it comes to money.
So they're not just handed everything.
It's tricky though, right?
Yeah.
You want to support your kids,
Yeah.
but not create a dependence that holds them back.
It's a fine line.
The fifth factor builds on that idea.
Okay, tell me.
Millionaires tend to raise their own kids to be self-sufficient.
Oh, so they pass that value on.
They instill a strong work ethic,
Uh-huh.
teach them the value of money,
Yeah.
and empower them to be responsible adults when it comes to finances,
So it's about breaking that cycle of dependence.
and creating a legacy of financial empowerment for the next generation.
I love that.
We're down to the last 2 factors,
Okay.
and these are especially relevant for people who want to take their wealth building to the next level.
Yeah, for those who are ready to go further.
The 6th factor is all about being good at spotting opportunity.
Oh, like in the market.
Whether you're an entrepreneur or working a regular job,
It's about seeing where the money is.
it's about recognizing trends, seeing what needs aren't being met, and having the vision to capitalize on new opportunities.
So being ahead of the game.
It's about being proactive, not reactive,
Right.
and always learning and growing and staying ahead of the curve.
I like that.
And finally, the 7th factor brings us back to something we've talked about a lot.
Okay, what's that?
Millionaires usually choose the right occupation.
Not just any job.
It's not about chasing the highest salary.
Uh-huh.
It's about finding a career that aligns with your skills,
Yeah.
your passions, and your financial goals,
It's about finding that sweet spot
where you could do what you love and make good money.
and be successful.
What's so powerful about these 7 factors
Yeah.
is that they're not about getting rich quickly or taking shortcuts.
It's about the long game.
It's about building a solid foundation, making smart choices,
Mm-hmm.
and developing habits that lead to long-term success.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It takes patience, discipline, and being willing to wait for the rewards.
But it's worth it.
And anyone can do it.
Absolutely.
It's about empowering yourself, to take control of your financial future
Yeah.
and create a life of abundance and security no matter where you're starting from.
It's about taking charge and following those proven principles.
Now, before we finish up,
Yeah.
we got to remember that this book was written a while ago.
Right.
Things have changed since then.
Yeah. The financial world is always changing.
The internet, globalization, a shifting economy.
A lot has happened.
But what's amazing
Yeah.
is how relevant the main ideas of the book still are.
They've stood the test of time.
Frugality, financial discipline, long-term investing.
Yeah.
These principles have worked for generations,
Uh-huh.
and they're still essential for building wealth today.
Even in our complex world.
So even if some of the specific examples are outdated,
Right.
the message of the Millionaire Next Door is still powerful and important.
It's a classic for a reason.
It's a timeless guide for achieving financial success,
Yeah.
a roadmap that works no matter what the economy or technology is doing.
I love that.
I think what sticks with me the most
Yeah.
is how the book challenges us to rethink what wealth and success really mean.
It's not about the stuff.
It's not about having a lot of things or chasing after status.
Mhm.
It's about creating a life that's financially secure, free, and meaningful.
It's about living your values.
And having your financial goals match those values.
So you're living a life that feels good in every way.
As we close out this deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with one final thought from the book.
Okay, I'm ready.
Millionaires are often made, not born.
Powerful stuff.
It's a message of hope and possibility.
Yeah.
It reminds us that anyone can achieve financial independence.
No matter where you start.
It starts with a decision, a commitment to change,
Uh-huh.
and a willingness to follow those principles that have helped so many people build wealth.
It's inspiring.
If you want to learn more, I highly recommend reading The Millionaire Next Door yourself.
Yeah, it's a great book.
You might be surprised by what you discover.
About yourself and about millionaires.
And remember, the journey to financial independence is a marathon, not a sprint.
You got it.
Stay focused, stay disciplined, and never stop learning.
Words to live by.
You have the power to create a life of financial freedom and abundance.
That's the message I'm taking away from this deep dive.